and let us all do we can to build a better future.
The Democrats! Honestly, what's to say about the Democratic Party anymore?
That's all you have to say. And
the Democrat, and we're out. We're out. Bye. Bye. The Democrat. I mean, seriously. And you know what? Hey, Convo Couch, Revolutionary Blackout Network, Jimmy Dore, Lee Camp, the entire Mikasa Casa Network, Nico House, everybody. All you gotta do is the Democrats. There you go. Walk off. There you go.
Nothing else needs to be
Nothing else needs to be said, because now you have the Biden administration, Khanna, and so many other Democratic lawmakers demanding accountability from big tech, other media platforms, saying, "Oh, you got to be careful what you say. Censorship is real. You know, we want Spotify to do more against Joe Rogan." And see, this isn't about Joe Rogan. This is about really the future of free speech of content creators, be it on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. And thankfully, there's platforms like Rockfin and Odyssey where ever since we've been on there, we've had a single issue with Rockfin and Odyssey.
That's
great. So the creators of Rockfin and Odyssey, take notes on how YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram are screwing up. Spotify, don't go down that pathway. But sadly, you have Democratic lawmakers that keep doing this damn thing where they want more censorship, more suppression, more quote-unquote accountability. And I, for one, as a content creator, am tired of it because this channel's been hit 5 times. And thankfully, our fan base, our viewers, our Patreon supporters, and our colleagues all across independent media helped us out. But yet, sadly, a lot of other content creators are still being censored, suppressed, shadow banned.
And it is really hard to stay alive as any sort of like small media outlet if your channel is going down constantly. And if you're talking, and it seems that if you're talking about anything worth talking about, you're gone.
Right. And
that's what we were talking about right before the show.
Hey, here's what should get all of you angry, because I want everyone to be angry. Our wonderful, incredible, outstanding, legendary Keira McCown had her own YouTube channel called Babs.
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 It's an acronym. It's an acronym. But it wasn't offensive.
No.
It wasn't mean. The content was outstanding.
It
I'll never forget that one show where I was literally laughing in the background.
I would really like to bring Babs back.
Yeah.
Eventually I will. It's an excellent show where we cover in depth certain like social
issues. Yeah.
Issues. Yeah.
And Keira's YouTube channel gone like that. Like that. So here we got this video. Shout out to Case Study QB. Be sure to follow him on Twitter. Here's Representative Khanna.
Let's talk about another big theme in the book, and that's misinformation that spreads like wildfire online, impacted the 2020 election, impacted January 6th, where people gathered, impacted the aftermath of the election, people still believing that somehow Donald Trump won the election. He didn't, of course. You kind of lay out a little bit of a roadmap at how to get at this problem, which for some reason has frustrated lawmakers, and, you know, you're talking to tech companies that aren't necessarily interested to put profits to the side. So how do you get at the problem of misinformation on social media?
Well, there has to be regulation and there has to be responsibility. On the regulation part, here's what we should agree on. Facebook knew before January 6th that there were threats of assassination on their sites with specific days, specific times, specific people named, and they sat on that information. They didn't share that. They didn't take that content down. How is that legal? We ought to make sure that they don't have the Section 230 protection to have content that incites violence. Then in terms of social media ethics, you don't sit here all morning and spew misinformation. Why? It's not because you're going to get sued.
I don't watch the show, so I can't
Pause it. No,
explicitly speak to that, but come on.
Let's talk about MS money sign DNC, and let's talk about CNN and Fox News and all these other media outlets that actually have spread misinformation. Let's start with the big one. You know, it's
the most obvious one.
There are weapons of mass destruction.
Hello, and where are the repercussions for the mainstream media channels that were sowing that misinformation?
Yeah. Hey, YouTube.
It's a double standard. But YouTube, I love how in this clip they are explicitly saying misinformation on social media. Yeah. There's a very explicit way that they're saying it, such that the idea of actually having any repercussions for mainstream media is off the table. Right. So maybe if mainstream media puts their bullshit on YouTube, there might be repercussions.
There should be. And yet sadly, YouTube and its algorithm wants to promote these authoritative sources. But yet remember, I got to give a huge shout out again to Case Study QB, because if you go to his Twitter page, incognito, not logged in, Twitter says, according to the page for Case Study QB, that it's sensitive and shocking and controversial material. I actually
tried to get in today.
Yeah, and turns out all it is clips from MSNBC, CNN, and Fox. Oh my God! So it's finally, I guess Twitter's admitting that these media authoritative sources are really a danger. And here's the thing. These are the same media outlets that gave free press to Trump's empty podium.
That's true.
During the 2016 Republican primary and the 2016 general election. Empty podium right there. And we're just scratching the surface of how many times the establishment media has screwed it up. So, Ro Khanna, I know you like to go after people that are relatable. I know you like to go after people that are actually, human beings. But are you going to hold corporate media accountable? Because remember, Chris Cuomo helped out his brother, Andrew Cuomo, giving political advice. If I had done that, and let's say one of my family members was in office and I was doing that, the repercussions towards Hardlands Media would be severe. I think I'd have to be fired. I have to be removed from Hardlands Media and 99 Perspectives. That's it. Not only that, Hardlands Media would probably be taken down off of social media if I did even a fraction of what Chris Cuomo did. Where's the accountability, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, towards CNN? Nowhere.
I mean, we're also not rammed down people's throat as the legit station to go to either. So, on the one hand, you have instances of one of the things I was thinking of was like when Donna Brazile gave Hillary Clinton all the questions for their debate.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what happened as a result of that? Absolutely nothing. And, we have people like Ro Khanna going on and saying like, okay, well, we have the legitimate news outlets here, even though their actions are anything but legitimate. Exactly. And then you have the illegitimate people over here on YouTube and social media. Even though, in my recollection of my work in Hardlands Media over the last 2.5 years, I work my booty off to make sure that everything is absolutely legit, and I leave out anything that is minutely questionable, because you know what? Our audience actually relies on us to give them good information, whereas with the mainstream media audience, it's all, like I said, it's just rammed down the throat of the population, and a lot of the population, they are getting aged out largely, I believe, are still hanging on to every word of these, mainstream media outlets, even though they've been lied to again and again and again. So
exactly. Let's pull up the rest of the video so we can just hear what the rest of this progressive Ro Khanna is going to say.
Not because you're fearful of repercussions, it's because you have some sort of ethics, some sort of responsibility. There isn't that yet in Silicon Valley on social media. They have to care as media companies. They need to accept that they're media companies, and they need to have some journalistic standards.
So how do you impose that on them? You're plugged into Silicon Valley. As you say, many of the leaders of those companies support you and send you back to Washington. What do they say when you confront them with this?
Well, they give this absolute defense of the First Amendment, but here's what the First Amendment doesn't protect. And, Joe and I have talked about this before. Instagram, the fact that you're selling a consumer product that is causing depression in teenagers, don't tell me that's about the First Amendment. The fact that you're allowing for misinformation on the climate or misinformation that is killing people because they're not taking a vaccine, that's not about the First Amendment. So, yes, you need to have a First Amendment, but you also have to be responsible on consumer protection and basic requirements of not spreading this disinformation. And Congress should regulate some of that.
And how companies are doing this? From their own internal documents that we've read. They know it and they continue to do it. Such an important conversation. It's all part of the new book, Dignity in a Digital Age.
Fuck you, dignity in a digital age. What this is a way for the neoliberal narrative to continue on to influence millennials, Gen Z, and the next generation afterwards. This is the extent of which the neoliberal, neoconservative establishment that's again, kept up by the Republican and Democratic Party and their donors, as well as all of corporate media. They want to control the narrative. They're upset that you, the audience, are thinking for yourselves. Because let's face it, how many times have we been lied to? We, Kira, you and I, and everyone else here, grew up, especially during the 90s when all this stuff was happening, when Bill Clinton, a Democrat, shocking, when a Democrat got rid of the regulations that would keep the media companies in line and check, and then you had corporations buy up all the media. Buy up all the media. That's what a Democrat did with the Telecoms Act. Bill Clinton.
That's responsible, right? Come on.
You have entities controlling journalism. Yes. Corporate entities controlling journalism. And the whole idea of the media, a free press, is to hold those in power accountable. But the corporations now control the media. The corporations now say, you cannot talk about us. You can't do this about us. You can't say that about us. And this is more about Joe Rogan. And the thing is, what they're upset is that Joe Rogan, a person that actually built his network, his show, from nothing. From nothing. Nobody handed to him. You got these pundits up there that got a 6-figure salary. The only reason why they're giving you the news is because their mommy and daddy paved the way for them. That's why. Not through merit. And all this crap that you're seeing right now on CNN from the political establishment, especially from the progressives in the Democratic Party, quote-unquote progressives, is because now they got their marching orders. They're not going to raise the ruckus. They're not going to cause any trouble. So they want to control the narrative and not have you think for yourself. We got another video that's coming up too, where White House press secretary is saying, well, Spotify needs to just do more. Let's play the rest of it.
So this disclaimer, it's a positive step, but we want every platform to continue doing more to call out mis and disinformation while also uplifting accurate information. I mean, look at the facts, right? You are 16 times more likely to be hospitalized if you're unvaccinated and 68 times more likely to die than someone who is boosted if you're unvaccinated. That's pretty significant, and we think that is something that unquestionably should be the basis of how people are communicating about it. But ultimately, our view is it's a good step, it's a positive step, but there's more that can be done. So this disclaimer, it's a positive.
Well, I want to pause right here with what the press secretary is saying. She wants more. The Biden administration wants more. Now, I'm going to say something controversial here. We all know.
Don't get us banned, kid. Come on.
You know what? I mean, this is happening under a Democratic administration where free press, independent media, content creators are at risk of being removed off of platforms all across the spectrum. And the thing is, whether you are and I'm not part of the parties, if you're a libertarian voter, Republican voter, Democratic voter, Green, Socialist, Independent, whatever, I don't care what your religion is, the color of your skin, this should upset all of you because now you have the political parties and the media establishment coming into our backyard, the internet, an area where there's supposed to be exchange of free ideas, and then dictating who can speak and who cannot speak.
That's right.
This is not a free society then. But let's face it, we don't have a free society. And you know what? We had to deal with issues under the Trump administration. There were. But it didn't get this bad under a Democratic administration. Yeah. And what's happening now with the Biden-Harris administration and how they're, again, trying to say Spotify needs to do more. Spotify can only do so much. Right now, all those people that are triggered by Joe Rogan or anything else all across on social media, guess what? If you don't like the content, don't turn it on in the first place. But censoring and shadow banning and removing people, all what you're doing is creating bigger echo chambers, and you're going to create a bigger problem that no politician or any goddamn 6-figure salary pundit can figure out. People have been lied to. People are struggling day in, day out. Where's our relief? Where's our bailout? Is it wrong for me to ask these questions? Is it wrong for me to question these politicians that got gold-plated health care, 6-figure salary, and other benefits? Is it wrong for me to question how CNN, Fox, and MSNBC don't really cover the corruption that's happening? How basically, hey, vote blue no matter who. We understand that you're still triggered by Russiagate and how Russia could have influenced 2016.
Well, they should be rolling in mud right now.
But here's the thing. Because of our wonderful Supreme Court where Citizens United and McCutcheon's decision were passed, anyone can buy a politician. Anyone. Not just Russia. Anybody. Because our politicians, well, they're lower than prostitutes. They're more than willing to sell out everything. But all because you're so triggered by the orange boogeyman. Trump is just a symptom of what's wrong with our politics. You have career politicians in the Democratic Republican Party that led us down this route. And calling for more censorship or people to be banned is not the way to go. I got another video here from Case Study QB. It's from Fox News. Bear with us, folks, because they're kind of on the ball, but then they screw it up. Because this is Fox News.
Perfect.
Again, this is Fox News.
In true Fox News fashion.
They're going to say something.
They're pulling the right thread.
They're going to say something.
They just lose it.
They're going to say something. They're going to say something, folks. And Kira, you're right. They're going to say something But then they're going to fuck it up because it's Fox News. And remember,
I love it.
Remember, it's occasionally they might get something right, but don't worry, they'll still crap the bed. So let's hear what this jagoff has to say.
Rogan and Spotify drama continues. What's the White House saying about this?
Yeah, so despite the apology that we got from Joe Rogan and Spotify's warning label going on COVID content, this is what Press Secretary Jen Psaki said about wanting more done.
This disclaimer, it's a positive step, but we want every platform to continue doing more to call out mis and disinformation while also uplifting accurate information.
A few things here. When it comes to misinformation with COVID, that misinformation is often true.
Yes.
Cloth masks.
Exactly.
You can't spread the vaccine if you're vaccinated. And then I thought about Justice Sotomayor's comment that 100,000 kids were in the hospital with COVID. Was there a correction on that? I didn't see one.
Yes.
And then I heard Joe Rogan's apology, and it was genuine. He said, okay, I'm sorry, and I will do more. I'll offer the other point of view on such polarizing topics. The other point of view. And now you have fans of Taylor Swift, Madonna, Adele, saying they should pull their music from Spotify. It's time for them to take a stand here, take a stance on this. When it really, it's a conversation.
Yeah.
Some people say this, other people say that. Have an honest conversation.
But I noticed, though, that some of the stars who are saying, the fans say, take the music off, that's not affected the stock price. Pre-market this morning, it's up again.
Pause right here. In true Fox News fashion,
I love it.
The stock market still goes up.
I love it.
And Spotify's still doing good.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And money. So I'm glad they're having that. We'll continue on with the rest of the video, but it's just, you guys got to understand why I'm angry about this. Because take, for example, some of our colleagues in Revolutionary Blackout Network. Some of their content, it gets striked down. Some of their content gets banned. And yet they are covering a lot of issues that are impacting African Americans, Latino communities all across this country. But yet YouTube says, well, this is offensive material. And that hurts them. So it limits them from what content they could do. Now, thankfully, there's Rockfin and Odyssey, but the thing is, Revolutionary Blackout Network has every right to post their content and stories. They have every right to give commentary on what's happening. Same thing with the Mikasa Casa Network. A lot of those channels that are associated with it get hit down hard too. And I don't like that. Kira, you lost your channel.
I know.
We've been hit 5 times as a strike over BS reasons. And yet the media and the two-party system are saying to you, and I don't care what your political affiliation or what generation you're part of or color your skin or who you worship. I don't care. They're saying to you, you cannot think for yourself. We're going to think for you. And we're going to limit what you can see and not see. And so here you're going to see CNN, Fox, and MSNBC. And if they lie, don't say anything. Vote red, vote blue. That's it. We've been lied to enough. And that's why I hope during this midterm, I see the support of ballot initiatives rise up. I see the support of building infrastructure for third parties and building movements that are not attached to these damn sellout politicians in the Democratic and Republican parties. All of you deserve better. And see, the thing is, I believe in free speech, and I know that there are bad people that will use it. Good. We shine a light on those jagoffs. We hold them accountable because I believe that the world's filled with good people. But free speech is fundamentally important to our democracy. This is bigger than Joe Rogan. This is bigger than independent media as a whole. This is about the future of what all of us and the next generation can say and think and talk about. And in life, you're going to run into people that are going to have different opinions. Guess what? When I'm dead and 6 feet under, that's going to still happen. When I am gone. And then guess what? That conversation was going on even before I was even a thought in this world. So, censorship is not the answer. Let's pull out the rest of this video from the Jagoffs and Fox, because let's face it, stock market's still good.
You gotta learn about the stock market, Kit. Come on.
You got to, exactly.
No, it's a long way from its high, but it's up again this morning, 2%.
And I'd make the argument that if Taylor Swift listens to these fans and pulls her music, it will have an impact on the Spotify stock in a big way. We already have other musicians, Graham Nash, India Arie, pulling their music. These are, I'm not denouncing them, they're very talented artists.
So, just full disclosure, this is my first time seeing any of these videos, but would it be more powerful if these superstars started talking to people, interviewing them publicly? I mean, if they are so hell-bent on making sure that people have the correct information, then why don't they use their superstardom and their platform to dole it out or to fund it? I mean, there are ways to combat misinformation or bad information, and that is with more information.
I am so glad you said that, because when Heartlands Media was starting off, we had people tell us, don't interview libertarians, don't interview socialists, don't interview desk activists.
That's
no, we did.
Yeah.
We did. And some of these people you might know. Now, I want to keep it quiet, right? But
I'm positive I know them.
Yeah, but the thing is,
I think I know exactly.
there is a couple, right? Yes. But the thing is, what's interesting is then when we've had them on our show, or when we've talked to them, we've had people say to us, don't interview them. Don't talk to them. Why are you talking to them? Having an independent news program or podcast, Show Running 101, folks, is having interesting guests on your frickin' show. And if you are so triggered by Joe Rogan, do a show. It's not easy. I've said I want to be consistent here. I want to see the rise of more citizen journalists all across this country.
Absolutely.
It's not an easy thing to do. So don't bitch to me, say, oh, I can't get any views. Guess what? Heartlands Media, we started off in the streets. Now we're here. We're still not stopping. But the thing is, and this is very important to me, if you are so concerned and triggered, especially these artists and musicians, I don't know why you're for censorship, because throughout the long, sad history of art, music, comedy, everything, acting, has been subjugated to censorship a lot. Do your own show. Have your own show. Do it. It's not as easy, and especially when you start getting the messages of people saying what you should and should not do on your show. Don't give me that dumb bullshit. And I'm tired of it. I'm angry about it. I believe in free speech, and if you want to do something about it, if you want to do a show, do it. We got inspired after what we saw in Philadelphia in 2016. Yeah. That's how this whole thing got started, and we did it. And it was rough, it was difficult, and there were people who told us that we couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these stars, these musicians get to pull their content off, and they get to make a statement that way. But I do think it would be more effective to share what it is about the content that is so offensive to them. I think another thing that we have to keep in mind, and sort of where I come from when I'm listening to mainstream media specifically, but any media, is that this whole like non-bias journalism it's just not a thing. Like, as human beings, we carry around bias, and human beings are what make up these huge, corporate mainstream media outlets. So there is going to be bias involved there. And if you're part of a huge corporation that is basically the lapdog of the government, what do you think that agenda is going to be, right? It's going to be like, quiet the voices that aren't doing what the government wants them to be doing. Quiet the voices that are taking away business from our corporation, and just make sure that any sort of narrative that's being put out is our narrative, right? And that is the agenda. We have an agenda here at Heartlands Media. We probably have several agendas, but I would say one of the main agendas is to pull people away from the duopoly that is our, electoral system. Exactly. And you can see that in the stories that we bring up and inside of what we report, and we're clear on it. The only thing that mainstream media is doing differently at this point is not being upfront about their agenda. But I mean, with enough history, we can see what that agenda is. But yeah, I think that when you're listening to stories about this sort of censorship, it is really important to come from what is the agenda of this outlet specifically, because then you can start to connect the dots and say, oh, that's why Joe Rogan is a threat. So, yeah.
Exactly. Let's play the rest of that video in its full entirety, and I'll give my final thoughts on this.
But they're not Taylor Swift or Adele.
That's true.
When it comes to that young audience, the millennials. But India Arie is interesting. She said, yeah, I'm against what Joe Rogan says about COVID-19, but I'm also against his big paycheck that he gets from Spotify and comments that he made about race. So this is ballooning into much more than just COVID.
Wait a minute. I was kind
censorship
of
by some artists.
Did she just say that she's against his paycheck
No,
from Spotify?
another artist.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So Joe Rogan, again, Joe Rogan has a lot of guests on his show, and Joe Rogan gives his commentary. But, the thing is, he has a six-figure set. He got not six-figure. Let me apologize. He got a $100 million paycheck from Spotify.
Right.
And there's a lot of people saying, how did Joe Rogan get it? Look, if you work hard, you're going to get something. And obviously, his show is the most popular thing on Spotify.
Well, yeah, and he has a history of other things that he was a big superstar in. I mean, that's what happens.
So there you go. I mean, that's the real truth. Let's hear what the rest of these Jagoffs and Fox say, and then we'll just get my final thoughts on this.
Artist is what they want.
It's freedom of speech,
Yes,
but it cuts both ways.
Yes, it is. Let's have some freedom of speech back, please.
All right, so there you go. Now they're going to do the little market check and check out what's going on with the money. So there you go. Or their money, so they can keep on getting
their
rich.
money.
Their money. Not your money, their money.
At least they don't have to check it on their free time.
Yeah. So there you go. They can check it out and be like,
life hack.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah, exactly. So there you go. So final note for this is, the hell with censorship. The hell with these political correctness of saying, oh, you can't do this or you can't watch this. You should cancel this. You should cancel that. Don't watch these people. Don't interview these people. Don't do this. Don't do that. Look, you're going to be creating a bigger problem if you're for censorship. Obviously, there's a lot of people that haven't grown up mentally. You're going to run into people of different opinions and points of view throughout your entire life. It's been happening long before all of us were born. It's going to continue on when we are all dead and no one gives a damn about us. This whole idea of censorship will backfire. And if this is something that the Democrats want to run on, good luck in the midterms. You're already walking into a slaughter, Democrats. And this is why I'm going to vote third party. And if that makes me a bad guy, guess what? I have the freedom and the right to speak my mind, as do all of you. And I know all of us have different opinions. But I will not cancel a person. Now, if you're going to do hate speech or do violence, then okay, guess what? We got a problem. But censorship's not the answer. I want to know. I want to know who's talking about that hate speech. I want to know who has the audacity to want to do something evil. But I believe the world's filled with good people. And this whole idea of creating echo chambers will only backfire. And Hard Lens Media, our agenda is for free speech. Our agenda is for making sure that people break away from the two-party system and call out the hypocrisy of corporate media. And now more than ever, we have to fight for that better future. And free speech must be protected.